We are live one last time in 2025 in Indianapolis from the NFL Combine. And man, do we have a doozy of a show for you, Johnny Venerable.
The Scat Man himself, Cam Skattebo, joins us on set to talk all things Arizona Cardinals, ASU, and more. The exclusive. You don't want to miss it. Starting now. Hey, welcome in live from the NFL Combine here in Indianapolis. Johnny Venerable, Brack, PHNX Cardinals, your #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Damon, Dawg behind the mic. Shane Diefenbach crushing it as always. And man, oh man, what a show do we have to cap off our week in Indy. Cam Skattebo coming up right around the corner, talking all things Redbirds. Would he like to be an Arizona Cardinal? We ask him both.
Yeah, that's right. Also, at the end of the show, we've got a big announcement about something come up your way next week. I can't wait to kind of get into that. But also, everybody at this time, Johnny, people are seeing the eye-popping numbers, the 40 times, the verticals, everything that comes with the NFL Combine. Our guy Fran Duffy, our draft analyst, he's going to kind of maybe temper those or fuel those things that are being put out there after we see these guys work out down the street at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, but before we get to that, of course, it's Cam time. Cam Skattebo, the exclusive interview with PHNX Cardinals. Let's see it. This is a big one, folks. We've been waiting for 2025 NFL Combine. Johnny Venerable, Brack, the best running back in college football. Cam Skattebo out of Arizona State, now in Indianapolis. How's the offseason going, Cam?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a journey. It's something that you'll never get back, so I've been enjoying it as much as I can. Long, tired days, but something you'll never get back, like I said. So it's been a fun process, enjoyment, new to me. So going through new things every day and not really knowing what's in the future. So it's been pretty cool.
You did your press availability just a couple yards from where we are right now, and you mentioned how Arizona State, that decision changed your life for the best. But I wanted to ask you as far as this season, because you guys flew so under the radar, the preseason rankings and all of that. But was there a point this season where things changed drastically for you? Like where it's just like your life yesterday was no longer the same as it was that day?
Yeah, I mean, every game, it kind of got a little bit more hectic. But as you can tell, after the Iowa State game and the Big 12 championship, my life changed dramatically. And then, we go and play Texas 3 weeks later. Those 3 weeks actually were pretty calm for the most part. But after that Texas game, it was like it's a whole new lifestyle. I can't go to Walmart and get, a steak or go grab something from Walmart or Target and just be able to walk through the store. And it was, it's cool to see that. You always wish to be known and, people just say your name when you're walking down the street or in the store. And it's been cool. It's exhausting and tiring, but something you always dreamed of, I've always dreamed of. And it's been a pleasure. And I can't wait to, keep it rolling.
You mentioned in your presser Arizona being home now for you. There are 32 NFL franchises, but this is a Cardinal podcast. So I'm going to ask you the question everybody wants to know. Have you met with the Arizona Cardinals?
I have met with them. Not formally, informally I have. They have me coming down soon, so I'll be at the Cardinals facility soon. I'm not going to say anything specific, but I meet with them. That's the first team I'll meet at their facility, and I'm excited to be there. It's going to be fun.
Well, we're excited that that's happening, and I've made comparisons, Cam, on the record, off the record. The Cardinals have done, I think, a disservice in the past, not this regime, when there's a local product staring you right in the face that we coined generational, Terrell Suggs once upon a time, even if it doesn't, quote-unquote, fit a need, you just take the best player. And I think this is a special circumstance, with a guy like James Conner being there, a little bit up in age. Like, I think there is a pathway for you to play and play early for the Arizona Cardinals. What would it mean to remain in Arizona as a member of the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, first off, like I said, Arizona's home. I would love to be there. I would love to stay there. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to be anywhere, but I've been in Arizona the past 2 years, and that's somewhere where I'm probably going to live when I'm done playing. I'll always be around. If they end up taking me and it's higher than what other people would take me, I would love that. I'd love to be a Cardinal due to the fact that, I love Arizona. And that'd be something that'd be pretty cool. Especially now that if I do end up there, I can, go back and see the guys at the school and see Coach Dillingham and, give back to that school and help as much as I can and really focus on the process and, not having to move everything across the country is always nice too. So.
During your legendary run, Kyler Murray was asked about you, and I don't know if you returned the favor yet, but he said, "It's just a dog. He's a dog." How do you break down Kyler's game?
I mean, the talent that he has is incredible. You see it in the college level. You see it now. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do this upcoming year. Because we get him to lock in the whole season. It's a different story.
Right.
And I think like you said, if there's a chance that I end up there, that we're teammates, and that could be a dangerous situation in the backfield. So he's a great player. I appreciate everything he does on the field because you can tell he loves the game, and hopefully maybe we can get him some help.
Jonathan Gannon, when we asked him, very complimentary of your game, of your play. What's your perception of JG, the Cardinals head coach?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great coach. That's why he's there, and just getting rolling and getting things started. And I'm excited to see what they have going there. And if I end up a possibility in that situation, I'd be blessed to be there because those guys all have a lot of experience and they understand the game of football. And it's hard to say you want to be somewhere over somewhere else, but every coach has a lot of experience in this game and something that he does well, and he's very dialed into his X's and O's and really takes care of the guys. So you can see it through interviews and stuff that he cares.
Lots of juice, like Dilly, lots of juice that
exactly.
he brings, And how important is that? And how important is it for it to come off authentic and it's not like somebody just trying to relate as a head coach to a 16, 17, 18, 20-year-old?
No, and yeah, it's good because if you understand who the players are and how they go about life, you're gonna understand how to coach them. And Coach Dillingham did a great job with us because he's younger. He understands the way we go about life, and it helps him develop meaningful relationships between us. And then when he does have something to say and coach us about it, he knows how to coach it and he knows when the right time is to coach it. And I think it's huge to be in that realm of life, being younger and understanding the generation that you're coaching.
Pro comps can often be lazy, but I do think with your center of gravity, your unique circumstance where, I watch you and I see a mixture of LaDainian Tomlinson, and then, of course, you've got the power element. Are there guys that you just enjoy watching from the running back position? It's just I like to model my game after them.
Not 100%. I've been solely focused on making myself better. There's references I make to where I watch them. I wouldn't say I model in after anybody. I've grown up to learn how to do it my way and learn how to play football the way I do. Obviously there's the guys that I've pointed out and said that I like their game, and I do watch them and I do, take things after them in little bits and pieces.
Who are some of those guys?
Christian McCaffrey, obviously, Le'Veon Bell, as you said. There's the undersized backs that, throughout the years that have been successful, and people think I'm undersized, so that's why I say that. But, I'm as big as you want me to play. People, they see me on the television like, okay, that kid can play.
Yeah. And
then see me in person and they're like, oh, he's smaller than I thought. Well, I was big enough on TV for you, so it doesn't matter what I look like, So, there's a lot of guys out there that have great football, and, you pick from each one of them and try to make yourself better.
Any of them make you laugh? Because anytime your name comes up, there's always a common theme. It's like, oh, Peyton Hillis. They'll call Christian McCaffrey. They'll say, Brian Leonard. It's like there's a common theme there. It's just white running backs, right? Is it ever like any of them you hear that kind of just makes you laugh?
I mean, a lot of people end up doing that, and it's funny because it's the older generation, probably about 55 years and up. They always revert to a white guy, and I'm like, who am I? I'm me. So It's like if I have bits and pieces of different players, you don't have to revert to one person. Like there's multiple people. As I grew up, I was taught not to see color. I grew up with multiple different types of ethnicities, and I just learned from them,
Mhm.
and everybody that was involved in my game. I took after little bits and pieces of everybody. I learned what the bad things were, what the good things were, what not to do, what not to say, what to do. And it's been fun. So yeah, go back to your question. It's funny that I see those things, and it makes me laugh every time.
You're coming here, you're checking a lot of boxes. Walk me through what the rest of the offseason in preparation for the draft is going to look like for you.
Yeah, so I'm doing vertical and broad jump here, and then come March 27th, I'll do everything at the pro day at ASU, and then I'll stay in Phoenix and train throughout that time in March, and hopefully not be harassed too much. Be able to focus on
We'll do our
training,
best.
be focused on training, and making sure that people understand where I'm trying to go at the moment. And then the next year of my life is going to be pretty hectic. Going into a rookie year is not easy, so I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. I can't wait to, see what it has in store for me.
Yeah, we'll make sure Ruby and Toe Tree keep their distance from you during those moments. Before we get more into that, like, has there been an interaction? What's been the craziest person to reach out to you during this run of yours?
So I was in New Orleans for the Super Bowl marketing thing going on, and you know, I met a lot of people I never thought I'd meet, a lot of famous people. I think the coolest one, obviously, don't get me wrong, there's people that I looked up to. Reggie Bush, I met, I met Shaq, I met, a bunch of people that, people never expected to meet. I think one of the cooler ones is when Adrian Peterson came up behind me and like grabbed my shoulders, like, "Hey man, I just want to introduce myself." And I'm like, "Holy cow. No, I want to introduce myself," And so having a conversation with him for about 30 minutes was great. Speaking words of wisdom. He's battled through everything. He's one of the best to do it. Battled through an injury, came back, had a really good season, and then, you know, stepped away from the game. So having a conversation with him was awesome.
Have teams talked to you about how they would utilize you, your usage at the NFL level? You did so much at ASU, but I think we view you as a bell cow running back. Are those conversations being had already?
Not yet. I think once I get to wherever I'm going, that's when they'll focus on what they're going to do with me. I think at this moment I'm focused on, and everyone else is focused on playing running back. Now in 5 years in the future, if they're like, let's put the trick play in, it could happen my rookie year. Don't get me wrong, but 5 years down the road, I'm playing still, and there's a possibility that they understand that I can do different things. So I'm excited to go to a coach that understands my versatility and what I have in store, and hopefully that they end up using that.
How many formal interviews have you had so far?
I had 9 formal interviews on Wednesday, and then I've had any since. So I have a bunch of informals tonight. So
Do you feel comfortable revealing any of the teams you've spoken with?
yeah, there's been some good teams. So I spoke with go in order, right? Let's go Rams, Cincinnati.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Rams, Cincinnati, Chargers, Niners, Bears, Cardinals. These are both informal. Um, the Steelers I met with, the Saints I met with, the Panthers I met with, the Vikings I met with. So it's been good. It's been fun. I'm sure that I got informals tonight, so I'm sure a lot of other teams are going to snatch me up too. So I'm excited for that.
Is there anybody?
I can see him playing in any of those. I can see you playing in any of those uniforms.
Yeah, that's a nightmare for us in the NFC West.
I mean, you grew up in the Bay Area. I mean, what's it mean like to you when the Niners reach out and they set up that interview?
Yeah, I mean, that was a dream come true. I get a phone call from a Niner scout, and it's like, holy cow, the 49ers are calling me. Obviously it's awesome, but at this point in my life, there's 32 teams. Who's going to take me?
Right.
It's at this point, it's not. You're not a fan of anybody. You're a fan of who takes you, who's going to give you a chance to play at this level.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it's play for them, and that's who you are. If I go to the Cardinals, I'm a Cardinal. If I go to the Steelers, I'm a Steeler. If I go to the Niners, I'm a Niner. So I'm excited for whoever takes me. That's who I'm going to be a fan of.
You have immense belief in yourself. How important do you think it was from a national perspective that you got to showcase your abilities against the best in the world at the collegiate level during the college football playoff when you basically put the whole national scene on notice?
Yeah, I think I was a little under the radar until about those last 2 games. You never know. I could have been a free agent guy or 7th round, 6th round guy. Now that the Peach Bowl and the Big 12 championship, I had 2 really good games and showcased what I could do through through all my versatility aspects, that just bumped me up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm excited and I'm glad I got to be in those footsteps and be able to play against those teams and show what I had, because it showed these teams what I can do.
We talked to legendary Sun Devil Todd Heap at the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, and he said he witnessed, you practicing for the first time at ASU 2 years ago, and he said if Dilly can have all his players play like that, I mean they're going to be, I mean that's the blueprint essentially. How do you feel like you've been able to instill your mentality, your work ethic, your process on your former teammates and guys who are going to walk through that facility in Tempe?
Yeah, 100%. Because if you look at it, like what happened from year one to year two, I changed a little bit of what was going on in my life, and then we bring guys in that love football. I started loving it more because these guys loved it, and then the guys that maybe were on the edge started loving it even more. And then you get all those guys to come together, and then that running back room is special to me because I had a good connection with them, and I helped them. They still call me every day, checking in on me, how the combine's going and everything. So um, I was a big role model for them, and I enjoyed it. So having them, and it was super fun being there, and it definitely fed off people the way I played the game.
I've got a 9-year-old son who was infatuated with your play this year. He plays flag football. How important is it for you to continue to make a good impression for the people of Arizona that you've touched so many, especially the youth in the area?
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you, that I'm a good person, and I try to be a good person, and I try to keep it that way. Um, when I have a young kid that's able to watch me play football, and his parents like, "Oh, we got to turn that off." No, they're enjoying it because their kids are enjoying it. So and then if a kid likes it, then the parents start to watch more because the kid wants to watch, and it's been awesome because you never know who you're gonna inspire, who you're gonna bring up. You never know your son 10 years could be 19 years old playing at Arizona
Well,
State,
that's his dream now. I want to
playing
be the
running
next
back.
Cam
So,
Skattebo.
I mean, you never know from 10 years from now how that could work out. So, I'm glad I'm able to show him the ropes a little
Yeah.
bit on the TV.
I mean, the next Cam Skattebo, and you look to Arizona State and their run this year, and they're in great hands with Kenny Dillingham, obviously. But is there something like a proverbial like passing of the baton? Like whose program is it now? Maybe on the players' side.
Yeah, because there's so many good running backs there. There's obviously Sam Levitt. He's gonna. I've always said this whole past year he's gonna win the Heisman in the next 2 years. I believe in him. He believes in himself. He already knows. We've had this conversation. But I put that torch up in that running back room, and whoever's gonna take it. They all can. It's just who's gonna step up, who's gonna do the right things, who's gonna prove to coach that they're capable and they're valuable enough, and obviously somebody has to do it, so someone's going to take it, and I'm excited to see which one of those guys do it. I have a couple guys in mind. I won't say them because I love them all, but I'm excited to see who takes that and runs with it.
Speaking of running with it, at what point last year do you think to yourself like Sam's a big time player and he can get us to where we want to be?
I'm going to tell you Cincinnati loss, when he got hurt the game before against Utah, and we lost to Cincinnati. It was like we were a bit of a different football team, and with Sam there, we might have won by 21 points.
Yeah.
It might have been a little bit different story. I'm not knocking the quarterback that was in and anything, but he's special. And when the season went on, and we're down 14-0 and 2 minutes left, 2 minutes to start the game against Texas, and he's like, "Dude, we can still win this football game." It's like, okay, this guy, you can't get in this kid's head, and I see him argue, like not argue, but I see Coach Dillingham trying to get in his head all the time, and Coach Arroyo messing with him, trying to get in his head, get him off his game, and he's the same person the whole time. Even when he's frustrated to when he's relaxed, he's the same player. There's nothing that can change the way he's going to play the game. So I'm excited to see what he's going to make better and what he's going to improve, because there's a lot to improve in him, don't get me wrong, but he's a very good player, and I'm excited.
I was really impressed by your media savvy at the podium just an hour ago. Just some of the questions you were fielding, including the one, and I'm going to say it because you couldn't, and I'm not going to say it as eloquently as you did. Like, it's absurd that ASU only got one guy here. And, when I think about Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson, it's like this is going to be the last year that you guys have just one representative here at Indy at the Combine in the draft.
Yeah, so hopefully that kind of open the eyes up to the fans and these scouts and coaches and GMs and Jeff, the guy that runs the whole thing. So I'm hoping that Jeff's actually an ASU alumni, so that's why I was a little surprised, and so I talked to him and I talked to the guys and I'm like, hey, look, you're gonna get your chance. It might not be at the combine, but you get your chance. Show out when it's meant to be, and the next 4 to 5 years, there's going to be 2, 3 guys trickling here. And then, as time goes on, Coach Dillingham's going to have at the minimum 5 guys a year coming in here. So I'm excited to see that and, understand who's here.
How does it feel to be a part and the staple of getting ASU onto the national scene where people view Kenny Dillingham as a big-time head coach and obviously ASU being now a perennial contender for not only Big 12 titles but national championships?
Yeah, I mean, that's Coach Dillingham's effect. He brings in guys that love football, and he brings in smart guys and guys that make good decisions and guys that love the game. And when you put those together, and if you can build those guys into a family, there's a lot that goes into it. Don't get me wrong, but if you can get those guys to connect, the guys that love football, it's going to be a very successful journey. So I'm excited to see what Coach Dillingham has in store, because what he's planning is something that none of us are going to even think about. I wouldn't be surprised if he won a national championship at Arizona State within the next 10 years. I'm excited to see it.
Well, I mean, what's that? Is it the consistency? Is it doing it again as a program?
Yeah, I think the hard part is that.
Yeah.
That's the hard part, is the consistency of staying as a winning team,
Mm-hmm.
and not letting guys get complacent. Coach Dillingham doesn't let that happen. The whole season, it was the same attitude, the same thing every time. We're 12-2 going into against Texas, and it's like they counted us out. They're still counting us out, and we're 12-2, and we're in the playoffs. We're the 4 seed, or we're the 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how are you still counting us out? This team. There's no way this team's still being counted out. And if he can keep that attitude through those guys and have those guys, and as I hear now from my old teammates, is they're sticking with that, and they're going to continue to get counted out. They might get ranked higher now that we won a Big 12 championship and went to the playoffs, but they're still thinking, because they're still doubters. And Coach Dillingham continues to bring up those doubters, which is something that needs to be said.
Let's bring it full circle as we conclude here, back to the NFL draft. You mentioned, maybe before the college football playoff, teams looked at you differently with maybe a different draft stock, right? And then all we're hearing about this year is great year for running backs. Get a running back early. Have teams talked to you about potentially, or your people said, hey, this is where we think you could go? Where's that ceiling at for you think?
Yeah, obviously everyone's waiting for the 40-yard dash. That's the big thing for here on all these teams. So they're going to see that on March 27th, and they're going to make their decision. It's never predictable where you're going to go. Don't get me, unless you're, a top 5 guy. And you never know if you're going to sneak into that first round, if you're going to get into the second round or the third round or the fourth round. Obviously there's rumors in that third round is probably somewhere where I'm going to go, but if the Cardinals want me enough, hopefully they'll take me in the second.
Do you have an idea of what you want to run? Do you want to put that out there? You want to keep that?
I'm going to keep that on the down low.
Have you gotten faster though? I mean, you've been saying you trained down in Florida. Have you seen?
Yeah, there's definitely an improvement. Yeah. I've learned how to run. The technique has gotten better. So I think a lot of people are going to be shocked at what I run. So I'm excited to prove to people that I'm faster than what they think.
Is it something that's applicable to what you're going to play, how you're going to play going forward? Is it just that your pro day running the 40?
No, it's 100% going to be what I translate to my game.
Nice.
It's running with the ball in open field. Simply of standing too straight up and not digging long enough through the hole, and just learning how to run is going to teach me when I have the ball in my hands, this is how you need to run. So training those muscles to do that and training my mind to stay in the right position to run it's simply making you faster.
Have you decided where you're going to be during the 3-day stretch during the draft?
I will be in Chandler, Arizona, with some family and friends. Obviously, we're going to be in a house, and unless they call me and say you need to be at the NFL draft in Green Bay, then I'll be there, obviously. But as of right now, I'll be at one of the houses one of my family's houses, and I'll be there with family and friends supporting, and I can't wait to hear my name called.
So generous with his time, Arizona State legend Cam Skattebo. Please, future Arizona Cardinal. We're so fired up to welcome Cam to the show. Best of luck this offseason, my guy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Tremendous insight from Cam Skattebo. We're going to be debriefing it right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. Skattebo is money. So is the Phoenix Raceway. The NASCAR returns to Phoenix Raceway March 7th through the 9th. Still time to get tickets. Join the stars of the NASCAR scene battling out for the Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. You ever been to Phoenix Raceway?
A few times, my man. Vroom, vroom.
It's fantastic. There's nothing like witnessing the stars of NASCAR battle 200 miles per hour on this 1 mile oval raceway in the foothills in the desert. Of course, 40 drivers will compete with the likes of Chase Ryan. Denny Hamlin's going to be there, Bubba Wallace, and 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey Logano. I'm a big Joey Logano fan. I'm a big fan of the Phoenix Raceway, the home of NASCAR. On March 7th through the 9th, it's the best chance for a first-class experience for the whole family. Take the whole family out. Beautiful weather, beautiful vibes, phenomenal time. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
Love it. Can't wait for the race. It's the first of 2 races that we get in the Valley of the Sun out there at Phoenix Raceway, but love their time in Indy, but can't wait to get into the Valley of the Sun, get that sunshine, and get myself some Spinato's pizza. And, of course, it's like your Phoenix Suns headquarters, and you need anything that's going to provide better vibes around this just disaster of a basketball team.
Yeah.
Spinato's is going to do that. They're going to do all the heavy lifting because Spinato's, basketball or not, it's a great place to go get some pizza. I do it once a week with my wife and my son. My son gets the Kevin McAllister's Strictly's Cheese Special. We're getting that spicy Italian. We're loving it. We get a salad as well. Love the fantastic vibes at Spinato's. You can also have it delivered. It's the place to be. You can also get yourself some great prizes by watching Suns games, being a part of the Suns watch parties. Play some horse, but instead some pizza, Pizza. You can win some tickets to Suns games as well. You can just have yourself a good time watching the game. Get all the info on watch parties and the pizza basketball contest at SpinatosPizzeria.com. You can also place your order there as well. Spinato's, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, big thanks to all of our phenomenal sponsors here. Drop a like on this video if you like what you heard from our guy Cam Skattebo. How could you not? Confirming exclusively to PHNX Cardinals that he will take a formal visit with the Arizona Cardinals in the coming weeks before the NFL draft. He'll do what's called a facility visit.
Yep.
And you mentioned it doesn't count against your top 30 because he is a local product.
Yeah, that's an advantage sometimes when you've got some good athletes, prospects in your backyard, like U of A. They fall under that umbrella. So does ASU. I think you got to NAU if they ever provide it. Like they would be in that, so you wouldn't have to utilize one of the top 30. I don't want to say waste. You don't have to utilize it, so you can go out of state to some other schools that have some prospects coming in. So the Cardinals, right, they have VIP access to Cam Skattebo. You know, at nauseum, we talk about this on the show. You know, he's not a position of need. So it's really convenient that they have the ability to talk to him without also using up one of those top 30 visits.
You know, it's interesting getting him to talk a little candidly about where maybe the folks in the NFL landscape view him. And, you know, I love his comments like, hey, if I had not been able to kind of showcase my ability on a national scene, this is kind of an indictment of the draft process. He's like, I might have been an undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
And now because he was able to do it against a who's who, specifically against Texas, where you're going to have guys on their front 7 be drafted this year, next year, and the year after, and he made mince meat of that front 7 in that faithful Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
I think right now, I mean, you're looking at Skattebo saying sweet spot's probably the 3rd round.
Right.
I mean, like, I know that you don't love taking it back early, and it's not an indictment on Skattebo, but pick 74, 114, maybe trading up from 114, like, there's an avenue for Skattebo to become a Cardinal, and even for the people out there that are like, don't need a running back, that's a waste. I mean, guys, how many times I have to talk about it? They took Tip Ryman last year. You can never have enough backs when you consider the fact James Conner's been banged up. He's on what equates to a 1 to 2 year contract extension. He's almost 30 years old. And Trey Benson, you know, we like him. He didn't set the world on fire. He was good last year, right? So I think there's room if they want to add it. But I understand the people that are like, don't do it early. And I don't think Cam, I don't think he expects to be drafted early by the Arizona
Right. No, I
Cardinals.
mean, if you have a good team around you, and it sounds like Cam is in great hands.
Yeah.
It was obviously his days in the Tempe facility with Kenny Dillingham and all the great things he's doing there. But then who he's got as far as who is in his inner circle right now, giving him actual transparent, useful information. Like, hey, these are the teams that are going to be in on you.
Yeah.
This is the round we expect.
Yep.
And so he doesn't have these false expectations,
Yep.
but it's not going to change his drive. It's not going to change his intensity. Like, this is a guy that is very self-motivated and is going to put himself to be in a good spot. So he's got some different benchmarks to look out for. Of course, he's going to be working out tomorrow. He's going to do a couple select activities that he reiterated here after his press availability with the rest of the media here in Indianapolis. But then he's going to, as he said, he's going to do the ASU Pro Day, and he expects to run the 40. And that's really where I think he can make some headway. It's where he can really kind of chip away at getting up the draft board a little bit for himself.
Yeah,
I mean, we want to get at that, or more just the Cardinals conversation?
well, I think just a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think they go hand in hand, right? Because there are people like wondering, like, is he a better prospect than Trey Benson? Is he a better player than Trey Benson? Because that's the conversation. Like, when James Conner effectively hangs him up for the Cardinals, who is going to be the heir apparent? Who could be a part of this backfield short term and long term? A lot of teams draft running backs every year. And again, you can sell me on Skattebo at 78, certainly at 114. The understanding the value of that when you consider that 16 and 47 probably going to be line of scrimmage players, presumably on the defensive side. And this team, they can afford to take a player like that, not just from, and I think this is still a huge coup, a marketability standpoint. You talk about like selling out your stadium. Like, I love the marketing aspects with Skattebo, but I know that's not your vibe. And again, they got to win football games at the end of the day.
That's the biggest marketing tool.
Right, for
Right.
sure. 100%.
Yeah.
But I do think for the Arizona Cardinals, they're in a unique spot where this isn't Tim Tebow, right? This isn't a gimmick. This is a guy who's an NFL caliber back that's going to be a mid-round pick, and I think that it would behoove them to use a mid-round pick on him.
So you're looking at 78.
I would have no issue with that. Or if you feel like he's still going to be there and you want to do a mini trade down to get another pick, I have no issue with that. But you can't tell me four third-rounders last year, and dust hasn't settled on their careers. Minimal impact from that group last year. Outside of Isaiah Adams at the end of the year, Benson a rotational player, nothing from Isaiah Adams. Tip Ryman's a blocking tight end. Like, the meat of this draft, I get it, is line of scrimmage, and you would hate to pass on a star defensive lineman or offensive tackle at 78 for a backup running back. But I just feel like, when was the last time that's happened for the Arizona Cardinals?
I with the upside of being your bell cow back. But here, let's have a mini nuanced conversation about this. Okay. What would his role be? So when we look at the current Cardinals running back rotation, Jonathan Gannon spoke about this earlier this week, saying he feels like he's got dueling RB1s. He really likes Trey Benson.
He does.
And
I do too.
The Cardinals are tweeting out Trey Benson's performance from last year, where he runs a sub 4.40, 4.39.
Yeah.
That's game-breaking speed.
Does he play that fast, though?
That's the thing. I think when you start to look at, where Scat thrives and where Trey Benson thrives, I think you're looking at completely different players.
Yeah.
Trey Benson has that speed. I think that he's got, in college, he's showed the ability to break tackles as well. I think he had more broken tackles per rush on average than even Cam Skattebo, who's known for that, right?
Yeah.
That's his calling card. It's in the balance, right? I think that the balance in the vision is something that Cam Skattebo probably has a little bit of an edge, but age is about the same. So you really have to kind of find out what's his role going to be this year, because it feels like it's James Conner and then Trey Benson, and then if you wanted to you'd be drafting a guy that to start is going to be RB3,
maybe.
And can he be a third down back potentially?
I definitely think he can. Now, DeMercado, I know I knock him on this show because of his usage. It's not his fault. 26 years old. I mean, he's an older player. He averaged 9.3 yards per clip last year, so we have to give him immense credit, and they really like him, right? So maybe it's a scenario in which they're just doing their due diligence.
Yeah.
Again, I kind of go back to the contract that James Conner signed. It was a 2-year deal, right? Which is basically the second year. There's very little guaranteed money associated with it. So if James Conner plays great this year, you run it back, right? If there's injuries and concerns, maybe you would look at your options. Maybe not. Maybe you just let him play out the length of this contract. But I don't know. I just feel like this is a unique scenario in which
when you look
have
at
to
San Francisco, they've got obviously Christian McCaffrey, and then they have Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
And then last year they utilized it on a guy like Isaac Guerrero, who played downs for them, right? There's value in that. When did they get Guerrero? 4th, 5th round?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a
out of Louisville.
mid to late rounder. But they've taken a lot of third rounders that have busted,
and the
like Trey Sermon, etc.
Yeah, and the Chargers, fourth round. Thank you, Damon. Louisville guy who I think the fastest 40 time of all the running backs, even faster than Trey Benson.
Yeah.
So I think the conversation is like in a perfect world, like for me to take him and justify third round or fourth round at the 14th pick in the third round or 13th pick in the fourth round to justify it. You got to do some heavy lifting before that happens, like some serious heavy lifting roster wise.
Yeah, like they're before free agency. If you would have said, is this team ready to compete in the NFC West? I would say no, given their talent level. I think they need a robust free agent class, which we feel like is impending. We'll talk about that later in the show. I just think you get around pick 80, 90, 100, 115. Like Cam Skattebo, I feel like should be fair game for the Arizona Cardinals. And again, I'm basing that off the notion that, yes, I think he's a future number one back in the NFL based on what we saw at the college level. I don't care, about the skeptics right now. And I think hopefully he puts a lot of that to bed at his pro day.
Yeah.
I mean, the same stuff that we're complaining about with, Shemar Stewart. Like, yeah, where's the production? But, man, look at this metric score. Look at this agility score, right? The rating, 9, 10 out of 10. Great. What kind of football player is he? I want to be in a position where, like, if you're wrong about Cam Skattebo and he's a fourth-round pick, it's not going to derail your franchise. But if you're right about him, think of the upside that this franchise could take advantage of.
The production in college, the makeup, talking to the kid, checks all those boxes.
He's an easy kid to root for.
He is, absolutely. And that's why all 32 teams want him in this league.
I had a question for both of you, actually. Johnny, obviously you're sitting there the whole time. How hard was it to not, let the excitement and the emotion get the best of you?
Great question.
I know you're being disingenuous. I know it was hard thinking about this could be the last time we talk to him and that he could be playing. Did you hear the other teams he listed off? I don't know, every team in the NFC frickin' West, right?
Yeah.
How would you like to face Cam Skattebo with
your
the Rams?
blood was boiling when he was rattling.
I almost took that as an insult, and I'm like, Cardinals, smart enough.
You made like a cute little joke, and it was funny, but I knew inside you were seething.
It was eating me alive.
It was eating you alive.
Just to be clear, not the Dolphins, the softest team in football.
Couldn't be softer.
It makes perfect sense. Fits perfectly.
You know what? Mike McDaniel couldn't handle Cam Skattebo. Wouldn't know what to do with him. But you sit with Skattebo, and it's like, this guy's cut from the same cloth as Trey McBride. They have so many like-minded guys. I think he would fit their locker room tremendously.
I get a lot of James Conner vibes from him.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Not physically.
Right.
Like, that's an easy, power back.
No,
he's not. He's a power back for his size, but
speak softly, carry big stick.
His balance is so underrated. And again, that you're not going to judge that off of 40 time. He just needs to check a box with the 40. And he said with us that they're making it happen with his team. But yes, Damon, it was very difficult.
I'll pull the curtain further back. When Cam sat down with us, he was the first to sit down, and then we were kind of finding our chairs here. And Johnny, he put a shoulder into me, into like the soft spot of my midsection, and just kind of was like, I'm sitting next to Scat.
He didn't say
yes, you
that.
did.
That
No,
didn't happen at all.
You physically did it. I came to get around it, and I wasn't going to go for the chair, but I felt like you were threatened that I might try to, and he did. He did physically assault me.
Yeah, Johnny wants to be Scat's guy.
Yeah,
I don't want to be Scat's guy. I feel like I am Scat's guy.
We're gonna have the interview isolated, and you can watch it on its own. And just anytime, just look at Johnny's face when I'm asking a question.
Disgusting.
And you'll see somebody that just
when you know somebody has it out for somebody else that you care about.
I don't have it.
And that was that's a perfect segue into my next question.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously you hate Cam Skattebo personally.
Completely false.
And then you just talk to him, and you kind of put on the facade that you didn't, which is
because I
interesting.
don't.
How was that? And were you able to work through that? Were those thoughts of, oh, I don't like this guy, creeping into your head the whole time?
Highest football IQ and character that you can get off the flipping charts, my guy.
Take his heart at the combine.
Yeah, the heart's on full display, and then this is the difference between
unbelievably impressive. Absolutely.
You're being serious. Yeah,
I am.
He's an impressive dude. I hope
he walked up to me. I'm wearing a U of A hat today. First thing he said when he walked up, he said, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah,
that's right.
Pointed out my hat.
You just love it. And one last point about this, and I know a lot of people want to get into why we're here, the combine, and some of the results from yesterday. And Fran Duffy, our draft expert, is going to help us kind of decipher that. but it's happened so inconsistently throughout the years. Like it's like every other year, every couple years, you get a Sun Devil that's makes his way into the conversation as far as being drafted, and like he talking to him, and it's very similar to what's happened with the Cardinals and Gannon. What's going on with Kenny Dillingham? Like there's the confidence that he's getting guys to come into this program who started elsewhere, not just as recruits, like Cam from Sac State and now Levitt from Michigan State, and he's establishing himself here in the desert, that Kenny and his staff have the ability to develop these guys for the next level.
Yeah.
That hasn't existed here for not consistently ever, but hasn't been here for a long time. And the idea that the Cardinals could have a team that's consistently producing draft talent in their backyard, it's going to be valuable. It's going to be. I think there's value to it. Like we already talked about it, like not having to utilize like a top 30, but from a scouting standpoint and knowing the prospects better than anybody else.
It's going to become again an NFL factory for players. The difference was with ASU, what was the knock? Why they get all these great players and they're high draft picks, but they can't win, right?
Right.
Now they're mirroring it together. It's like, oh, Sam and Cam and some of these young receivers they have coming up. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, they're mirroring their results now with the draft status, and they're making the most of it. And that's big thanks to Kenny Dillingham. Big thanks to Cam Skattebo. We're rooting for you, young man. We're back right around the corner with Fran Duffy. Keep it locked in.
Love our guy, Fran Duffy. Love cornbread hemp. America's first ever USDA organic CBD company. Mission for cornbread is to improve the quality of life with the highest quality hemp, Johnny. Love it. What's going on with cornbread hemp? A healthier way to relieve aches, pains while getting better night's sleep. Sign me up after this week in Indianapolis. Cornbread Hemp's USDA organic CBD gummies. Cornbread offers USDA organic CBD gummy in the USA. That's right. It's the first one that's been given the USDA organic CBD gummy. Check it out right now. They're full spectrum, USDA certified organic and made flower only. Never just the whole plant. Third-party lab tested. Obviously, check out their vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, no artificial flavors or preservatives. Cornbread offers free shipping and backs all products with their 30-day Better Life guarantee. Take Cornbread's 2-minute quiz. Get a custom recommendation tailored to your needs. Whether you've got aches, pains, sleep support, or stress relief, you got to check it out now. If you want to give Cornbread a try, they're offering PHNX listeners 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX and use the promo code PHNX at checkout for 30% off.
You know, how do I stay cool, calm, and collected when talking to the likes of Cam Skattebo? I do it via our friends at Mando. Hey, Mando. Mando is a man's deodorant brand that's hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. I'm talking every aspect. Damon, you know what I'm talking about?
Talking balls. You're talking grundles. You're talking belly buttons. You're talking armpits. I mean, all of the above.
I'm talking butt cracks, friends.
Yeah.
Lather that puppy up anywhere. That's right. Whatever that means. We love our friends at Mando. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes. Plus, they've got free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to 40% off your starter pack. Use the code PHNX at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Tell them PHNX Cardinals sent you. Stay fresh, stay dry. Boost your confidence with Mando. Hey, Mando.
And with that, Cam Skattebo has filed a restraining order against Johnny Venerable.
I was telling Bo he needs to do
it. Was going so well. Like many things, Johnny almost gets to the finish line and then just completely detonates everything.
Like the steak challenge and calling out Adam Schefter in the process. Totally.
Hey, get Adam Schefter in the picture.
I said it all. I said, get Shefty back there. And everybody's like, oh, no. It's like when we were at the Super Bowl, and I'm like, hey, Puka Nacua, come over here. And people are like, oh, my God, how could you wave him over? It's like
just gave me chills again.
If you wanted me to stay inside my bubble,
I was like mortified.
This show wouldn't be what it was.
You know how like people hate when their parents like dance in public and stuff. You get embarrassed by it.
Yeah.
I've never been more embarrassed by anything than when Johnny waved over Puka Nacua.
Oh, come on.
And then Bo, I think that I didn't see it, but I think that you were even trumped by that, having a conversation with Reggie Wayne.
Secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
Hey, Reggie Wayne, we had Kurt Warner on the show today. Cool, man.
Well, what does that have to do with me?
You guys are Good players.
Yeah.
You guys are good players.
Speaking of good players, last night we got to watch a big need of the Arizona Cardinals here in this draft. Defensive linemen, edge rushers.
Yep.
People going off the charts. Sub 4.540 from James Pearce Jr. You had Shemar Stewart put on a show. Who am I missing? Oh, he was the kid from Arkansas.
James Pearce Jr. They had Landon Jackson.
Yeah,
he was fantastic.
6'7".
He's a monster.
Yeah,
he's an absolute freak
40.5-inch vert. Get that guy in the NBA.
He was walking up the stairs while we were sitting there, and I'm just like, can we just get this guy on a flight to Phoenix right now?
Landon Jackson, JT. That's the second round edges.
Yeah, I think Landon Jackson could go first round after this week. I mean, his performance was fantastic. Who did our guy Fran Duffy like? Of course, NFL Draft Elite Insider for ALLCITY. Here was our sit down with Fran on all things defensive line. The NFL Combine 2025 rolls on. Johnny Venerable, Brack, PHNX Cardinals. Our NFL Draft Insider, Fran Duffy, joins the show. And Fran, we were very fortunate. The time we're spending here, we got to see the big heavies, the defensive linemen on full display. Not only their combine podium availability, but on the field yesterday. We're going to go through it all. The most impressive defensive lineman you saw yesterday.
I would have to say it's Arkansas edge rusher Landon Jackson. I think that when you look at the totality of the workout, the position drills, which I spend a lot of time focusing in on, but then also from the athletic testing standpoint, the broad jump and vertical jump are really the only things that Landon Jackson did. But for a guy that big to jump the way he did it, it's a short list of guys that are 260 plus that jumped the way. It's like him, Myles Garrett, and Bud Dupree. Now, I'm not saying that he's Myles Garrett, but it gives you a sense of how unique his skill set is.
A guy that was productive at Arkansas, the SEC, a guy who was not very productive in the SEC, Texas A&M, Shemar Stewart. Unbelievable performance last night. You had the 40-inch vertical, half-inch shorter than your guy Landon Jackson, but also, showed out as far as, the 40, the jump there, like the long jump, broad jump, I apologize. Are things changing for Shemar Stewart just based on how he showed out here yesterday?
I mean, it's all expectations, right? And to me, that's why, going in, like James Pearce Jr. is a guy I expected to test well. He tested well.
Yeah.
Shemar Stewart, he would be in that boat where I'm like, I expect Shemar Stewart to look really good, especially considering the fact, Bo, that he was 281 at the Senior Bowl. He got down to like the low 260s for this event. So I'm like, all right, like he should really pop now. And he did. It was a great athletic workout. Now he got dinged up, so he didn't finish. He didn't do any of the position work, which was unfortunate. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. We don't know the extent of it at this point. But Shemar Stewart, he matched expectation, checked that box the way that he jumped.
A perfect RAS score. I mean, how much do you put into that?
I mean, you definitely put something into it, but again, it's when I watch him on film, you could see that athleticism, but it still doesn't equate necessarily to consistent production, and that's the big concern.
I mean, Danielle Hunter, we pulled it yesterday, had a sack and a half his last year at LSU. So if you're taking him with the idea that that's the comp in terms of lack of production at the collegiate level, maybe not utilized right, and who's his peer on the opposite side? Nick Scourton basically said Scourton, it's not a defensive end sack, robust statistic defensive line scheme. Like defensively, like whatever the hell they're doing at Texas A&M, like they're not letting those two players wreak havoc in the backfield. So you got to hope that his best play is at the next level, because we've been fooled by combine freaks before, and he looks like a Greek god. But what does the tape tell you? Does the tape tell you that for like a Jonathan Gannon, he could line up on the perimeter and net double-digit sacks? That's what you would have to have if you're taking him 16.
Yeah, for me, I see the style of play for Shemar Stewart. There are flashes of when I'm like, that's a JG type of rep where you see him chasing plays down in pursuit. Like JG will love those snaps, right? But to me, I think when you're looking at a guy that's going to go that high in the draft, you want to see someone that's able to consistently win at the top of the rush, and that's where he's still figuring that part of it out. It's not even just, he gets into the backfield and he couldn't quite finish. The pressure rate numbers were low. Even on third down, I've got the number here. His pressure percentage rate on third down, when you would think, all right, they're going to pin their ears back and go, still a really low number contextually to other pass rushers drafted in the last decade. So that's what worries me.
And it should worry Cardinals fans, because that's where they struggled throughout last season, when they struggled the last two seasons. What could click? That's such a volatile, ground to stand on in the NFL draft. It happens more often at the quarterback position. There was a guy named Josh Allen, had a raw skill set, and everybody wants to make the next raw skill set, good size, athleticism, arm strength, and say, well, a lot of scouts think he can be Josh Allen, but Josh Allen, the work he put in at the pro level, that's the exception to the rule. Is that the same thing like when we talk about Danielle Hunter and guys who have done it, who weren't productive at the collegiate ranks? Like, there's just something that it's tough to kind of quantify, like, how that happens.
Yeah, it's that inexact science.
Yeah.
And it does require, you got to just thread multiple needles because you need the player to put the work in. You need him to be able to reach that ceiling. You need the coaches to give him that developmental ecosystem, right? And then also just the opportunity. And so when I look at a guy like Shemar Stewart, you have to weigh all of these things. I was really high on Odafe Oweh coming out of Penn State. Even though he didn't have like big sack production, you saw like he was a guy that had that ability to consistently win at the top of the rush. And for whatever reason, the production wasn't there. He's hit that ceiling, right? Yep. And so to a certain extent, I think that's what you're dreaming on with Shemar Stewart.
You mentioned the Big Ten. Let's go from Penn State to Ohio State.
Here we go. I think I know where you're going.
Jack Sawyer, not great yesterday on the field, and then even like being here, in person, the consensus on him is lower body leaves a lot to be desired, right? He's built a little bit different than some of these top tier guys. Did he hurt himself yesterday with his performance? And what do you think maybe the floor is for where he could fall now?
I'm going to shock you with my answer.
Oh.
No, I don't think he hurt. You know why? Because I said earlier, it's all about expectation.
Yeah.
My expectations were here. And this is where he was, right? And so, I'm like,
that's where my expectations were too.
If your expectations were here, then yes.
Great podium availability, though. He did great.
No, and look, to me, I look at Jack Sawyer. I feel really good about his floor. I feel really good about him coming in and being a rotational backup. Like, I feel like that's a really good sweet spot for him.
Yeah.
I just don't see like a high level starter.
Rotational backup. So you don't think he's a starter at the NFL level?
Not ideally, no. I just think he lacks that physical, those physical traits to be that guy. And I think you saw that, the athletic limitations show up. You talk about the build, just in terms of, to me, that's where like that
31.5-inch arms.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, so you look at body type, and you say, okay, like shorter arms, not a great athlete. You start to knock those guys down a peg.
Give me a round. Top of the fourth.
I was gonna say like round 3 at best, probably round 4, round 5. But I think that's kind of what you're hoping for there. I mean, look, the run defense, the character, the play strength, all that stuff that counts for something, and I think that could get him in the back day too.
I mean, he's not your traditional bulk sack player.
Yep.
But he intercepts passes. He had that big interception against Michigan.
Yep.
He's athletic enough to get his hands on the football.
Some of the worst quarterback play in the collegiate level, by the way. Just so you know.
I do think he's worth a flyer after the second round, but I understand now, and this is what happens when we come to the combine. Our eyes are opened a little bit, and to see him on the field with our eyes yesterday doing those workouts, it's just like he just doesn't look the same as these other players.
Yeah, to me, and that's where I always kind of got hung up, with Jack Sawyer. Because look, it wasn't just the interception against Michigan. Obviously, he had that huge sack fumble recovery for a touchdown. In the playoffs against Texas as well. And so, look, he was not Johnny on the spot, but came up big in those big moments. But I think that there are just limitations there that are going to keep him from reaching that high ceiling.
I'll back you up. They can't measure his heart.
That's right.
There's no measurement here.
It's like us this week.
I want to get to the Georgia players here in a second, but let's finish since we're talking about Ohio State. His running mate there is it JT Tuimoloau?
That was pretty close.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you pretty much got there. Tuimoloau.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we couldn't see him go through the battery of tests yesterday. But to me, I feel really good about his ability to be a starter. He goes A to B right through tackles. He wins with power. He wins with length and leverage. To me, he looks like a guy that maybe he's not, perennial Pro Bowl talent. The guy I compared him to was George Karlaftis when he was coming out of Purdue. Similar kind of body type, similar kind of usage in my mind, where he lines up outside early. You can kick him inside on some pass downs, and he's got that ability to be more Robin than Batman for a defensive line.
Let's talk about the Georgia players. Let's start with Jalen Walker, who his measurables were in the upper percentile for an off-ball linebacker, and very, very average for your traditional edge rusher.
Yep.
where is his ceiling and his floor now, and what position inevitably do you think he'll play at the NFL level?
I personally have him with the off-ball backers. I know it's been quite a journey for me on this evaluation.
Welcome, friend.
We're on the other side of it, but not all the way there. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's at the pro day, which is on like March 21st or whatever it is, whenever he's going to work out. That's when we start to get that full athletic profile there, which I do think is important. I said coming into the week that the athletic testing was going to be as important for Jalen Walker as any other player in this class. But to me, when I see Jalen Walker, I see more of a really useful 3-down player. Like the guy I've gotten written down is a Leo Chenal. With what he is for Kansas City and for the Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo, that's a very important player, but not a guy that I see as a consistently impactful starter. I think that's going to be a question. Is that sure is shrimp cocktail coming around? I mean, it's 11 in the morning. That's a good way to wake me up a little bit. But I think when you're looking at, this is happening. This is beautiful.
I would love one. Yes.
Yeah. Let's load up here. Thank you so much.
To me, when you see Jalen Walker, he is a guy that I worry about what that overall ceiling is athletically. And I think, look, his closing speed, chasing quarterbacks is big time. His physicality, talking with scouts that have been through there, they all rave about his character, like elite character. But I think that to me, the athleticism will be important.
Are we doing these now or should we wait?
Yeah, I think we got to do it now.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
I mean, they're here. They're kind enough to give us the signature dish of Indianapolis, and that's the St. Elmo's signature shrimp cocktail.
I'm sorry if I spit up in the equipment.
It's got the cocktail sauce, but it's got an edge to it. It's got the horseradish.
Yeah, more than an edge.
It's going to open up our sinuses. Yes. We're going to be able to smell outer space.
It's the first thing I've eaten today.
There we go. Yes.
It's a good way to start.
So here we go. Johnny's putting it down. Fran's putting it down. They look all very composed so far, but that's an interesting back there to have a latte with the shrimp cocktail.
I already tell you what you did. You inhaled at the wrong time. That's a bad inhale.
I'm making a lot of bad choices this week.
Yeah, it was a bad job.
Sweet to start, and then it just comes up, and it just blows up your sinuses, and it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is my face also when I watched Jack Sawyer yesterday. Tears coming down my face.
But before we get to Mykel Williams and finish the conversation about Jalen Walker and contextualize it as far as future Cardinal potentially, could he play the outside linebacker position for the Arizona Cardinals in that defense?
No.
But let me finish here. He does, like, say there's 4 boxes. He checks 3 of those 4 boxes with the maybe more of the downside, the ability to rush the passer.
Right. And that's, I think when you're looking at it, I'm pretty sure Daniel Jeremiah last night when the official measurements were put out there, the comparison he made, and it's going to rock certain Cardinals fans a certain way, was Hassan Reddick.
Yep.
Now, the thing is that Reddick played for JG in Philadelphia and had a lot of success, right? Obviously, you guys have talked about that when it comes to the free agency this year, but I think when you're looking at Jalen Walker, he's just missing that first step explosiveness that Hassan has, right? And that's I do think he could, in theory, play that role. I think that he brings all the intangibles that JG looks for. Just at the top of the draft at 16, like that's where I get.
You want more pass rush upside,
no doubt,
right?
Yes.
Mack Wilson Sr. plays for the Arizona Cardinals now. He was a 5th rounder back in 2019, but maybe Mack Wilson Sr. is a poor man's Jalen Walker in terms of what he's able to do as an off-ball linebacker that can rush the passer, that can intercept passes. But that's not a guy for the Arizona Cardinals to prioritize early. Let's talk about his teammate, Mykel Williams, who was limited and instead all year basically didn't practice and went to the training room, watched film, and then played in the SEC on Saturdays. So that earns a lot for me where it's like, I want to be there for my teammates. We got national championship aspirations. I do think his physical traits match that of a traditional edge rusher, of course, and that you can sell me on the fact that he was injured and played really well in the SEC, 5 or 6 sacks. That's a guy I think that could be an option.
When I watched him in the summer, I think back in the summer we were talking about him as top 5 pick,
right?
And I was like, I can't get there. Yeah, I think that he was just missing, that consistency that I'd want to see from a guy that would be taken that high. But the big thing for me was watching him this year, and you did a great job of highlighting the injury, and that was a big thing. He got hurt week 1 against Clemson, missed 3 games, came back, and was used on a rotational way. And honestly, one of the things I saw from him this year, he just got so much better as a rusher in terms of understanding how to set up moves, how to use his hands as a bull rusher. He just got a lot better in key moments rushing the quarterback. For me, if he had done a full workout today, or this week, I should say, we'd be sitting here right now saying there's no way he's available for the Cardinals in 16. To me, he's got those traits. We saw the length. We'll see hopefully the full athletic profile as we go through the rest of the offseason. But Mykel Williams, he's a legit prospect.
Anything we or our audience needs to know more about this edge group before we kind of kick inside to the interior of the defensive line?
Yeah, I think that, the other name that I think is really intriguing when it comes to the Cardinals is Nick Scorton, and how they view him. I think when you look overall, this is a guy that his weight has fluctuated over the course of the last few years. He played at Purdue in 2023, led the Big Ten in sacks. From what I understand, was in like the 260, 270 range. Goes down to Texas A&M last year, and he said that his priority when he did that, when he made that move, was to get better as a run defender. So he put on more weight. He played in the mid 280s. He looked a little sluggish. His sack number got cut in half. His pressures got cut in half. Across the board. All the production dropped. Now he comes down here at 265. And he looked pretty good yesterday, honestly. Yeah. I was pretty impressed with what I saw from Nick Scorton. So he's a guy I would keep an eye on. Probably not middle of round 1, but I think that at the end of the day, he's going to go in the top 50. And so he would be a name certainly to watch.
It's a good year to trade back if you don't love the player that's available to you at 16, if there are options for the Cardinals. One option I don't think is going to be on the Arizona Cardinals board, given the fact it's the Colts mascot just maiming people here. Keep him away from me.
I'm not ruling out him completely wrecking the shot.
Mike Green, his podium availability yesterday was, let's just say, different.
Yeah.
I thought it lacked a little accountability, but also hasn't been convicted of anything. I don't think that that's a player the Cardinals will target. What do you think Mike Green's ceiling is in terms of being drafted?
It's tough. When you have these kind of situations, it gets into that it only takes one team kind of deal. I think back, and these are completely different situations, but, I think back to T'Vondre Sweat last year, the defensive tackle from Texas. Yeah. And, he had I believe it was the DUI like 2 weeks before the draft. And it's like, all right. And he already had some questions coming in. And it's like, okay, for him to make this kind of mistake this close to the draft, he's probably not going to go high. He still ended up going in the top 35 to Tennessee. Yeah. Because, again, it only takes one team.
And he was good last year.
Right? And so I think when it comes down to it, all 32 teams, you're going to get the baseline of what's public information, right? All the reports, all the police reports, anything that's involved that way. Everybody gets that. And then every building is going to kind of, batten down the hatch and say, okay, who's got sources at Marshall? Who's got sources at Virginia? Who's got sources at the hometown, at the high school? And let's make sure that we do all of our legwork here. And that's where teams are going to try and get that edge.
I guess it's in the same conversation, like the character flaws that we've seen kind of come up the last couple of weeks. James Pearce Jr., the 4.5, you mentioned him already.
Yeah.
You know he's going to test well.
Yep.
Did he do himself any, service this week?
Yeah, I mean, again, it goes to the expectation, and he looked so fluid yesterday in everything. It wasn't just like the fact that he broke 4.5 in the 40, but all the position work, all the field drills looked outstanding. So, but again, like, he's an athlete. It's to me, in my mind, a better athlete than football player, but certainly a better athlete than pass rusher right now. And so I think
even with the sack total,
I think you're dreaming on him a little bit in terms of what he can be as a rusher, as an every down player. And so that would be a guy that I think you're probably going to bet on that upside. He's going to go round 1, but I'll be interested to see where he ends up.
Let's talk about the defensive tackles. Not a ton of the top guys worked out yesterday. Right. Both kids from Michigan, Walter Nolan, right? Some of these guys sat out. Give me your top 5 defensive tackles right now in this class.
Yeah, I would say that you're certainly going to probably start at the top with Mason Graham, but I would put Walter Nolan right behind it. I think that gap is a lot closer than a lot of people would feel. So, we didn't see Graham. We didn't see Nolan. I think Nolan would have done really, really well. From what I understand about Graham, I think that he would have tested very well as well. And then it really comes down to, like, pick your flavor, right? All of these guys have a lot of talent. I really like Alfred Collins as, like, your stout, thick, broad nose tackle inside. I think he can give you enough athleticism to be a 3-down guy. And he's never going to be like your 1A rusher on the interior, but he to me fits that kind of body type that would fit for JG in that defense. I would put Derek Harmon on that list as well. Yeah. There are some very similar kinds of players. There are a handful of those guys. Josh Farmer from Florida State, I thought he had a good workout yesterday. But then you get to Omar Norman Lott, completely different animal. He's more of like the Milton Williams type, and JG loved Milton Williams in Philadelphia. I think Norman Lott, he presents that same kind of skill set, penetrator, get up the field, that vertical first step, that ability to be a disruptor off the bench. I thought he was outstanding. So those would probably be Tyleik Williams would be another one from Ohio State. I thought that he really impressed with his field work yesterday. He's in that Derek Harmon, Alfred Collins mold as a 330-pounder that also has pretty light feet and that ability to get into the backfield as well.
Yeah, Harmon was up there as one of the higher 40 scores yesterday. What were some of the knocks on him at Oregon?
Well, the big thing, look, he was a one-year guy transferred in from Michigan State, and he cut a lot. He actually, look, he came in at 335 yesterday, but he cut weight when he was at Michigan State. He was heavier than that, and just looked sluggish. So he transfers, cuts the weight, has the big year. So you're going to get the 1-year wonder stuff with him. I think some are going to question, does he have quite enough pass rush juice? But showing off the athletic upside, I think, was big for him yesterday. I would say that the workout really helped this kid yesterday. Harm.
Who hurt themselves yesterday?
You almost did after watching Jack Sawyer.
Who hurt themselves? That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
and again, like we have legitimate concerns about like the viability of the on-field workouts moving forward because they're never going to do away with
Right.
the event itself because the medicals are so important, the interviews are so
Look at this
important,
notebook.
right? But like the on-field stuff, like I think the combine itself is being hurt by the fact that a lot of these guys are just not participating anymore.
I
Like
think that's fair.
the days of the Julio Joneses who would come here and put on the ultimate freak show feels like days of the past, certainly. And so I love the guys that are still willing to go out there and compete and are doing every drill. And, you know, when you hear about Cam Ward not throwing and Shedeur Sanders not throwing, I mean, it's disappointing. And I know the Arizona Cardinals last year, like they took a mulligan with Marv, who didn't do anything.
Yep.
But I honestly do believe, like, you want these guys that check all these boxes. They love Senior Bowl guys. They love guys that come here and perform. Anybody who hurt their stock this weekend.
Yeah, in terms of like hurt stock, I don't think, because honestly, a lot of the guys that would have hurt stock just said, I'm not gonna run, right? I'm not gonna do it. And, you know, I think that there are some players where, you know, like Mason Graham came in with really short arms, but that was the expectation coming in, that we didn't have any official measurements on Graham, but everyone kind of knew, like, all right, he's going to come in with short arms, and he's going to get knocked for it. And so, you know, the guys that would have gotten knocked for athleticism, you know, they just chose Seinfeld. I choose not to run.
Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Love the Seinfeld reference. Let's reference a guy who grew up in Arizona in the East Valley. He went to Higley High School, went to Nebraska collegiately, had a nice 40 number. Ty Robinson.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he would be a player that outperformed expectations for me. I had some athletic questions about Ty Robinson. I thought he was a real workman-like player. Like, I thought he was really stout against the run, but I question what that athletic upside is. And just talking with some people from Nebraska during the fall, they were like, no, he's going to test. I was like, yeah, I just don't see it on film. They were texting me during the workout yesterday. Like, I told you, I'm sitting here and I'm taking notes. And I'm like, man, like every rep in the position workout, you saw that athleticism, you saw the change of direction, the ease of movement. Bo, you mentioned the 40 time, but you know, the jumps were impressive as well. So Ty Robinson, he would be a player, like, for me personally, helped himself in a big way with his
like a Braden
combine.
Fisk type thing.
Yeah, he's built a little different.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of like that ability to hold up against the run, he probably does a little bit better than Fisk, but not quite as like upfield disruptive as Fisk was on film.
Abdul Carter not participating with the injury. There's questions about, you know, his ability to go first overall to Tennessee. Now there's some smoke that the New York Giants want to trade up to first overall. Who do you think that quarterback would be for? If you had to say right now, the Giants, let's say, move up, and then Tennessee moves back to 3, securing probably themselves still a good shot at Abdul Carter. Who is the number 1 quarterback that goes first overall fast forward to April?
Cam Ward. Yeah, I think that seems to be the buzz, is that it would be, if the Giants were to make a move or if Cam Ward were to fall to 3, that Cam Ward would be the selection. There's been some buzz that Cleveland could take Cam Ward at 2. Me reading tea leaves kind of thing, I think that is they're trying to get someone, namely the Giants, to try and trade up to 1 so they can get a shot at either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter.
Our audience would roll their eyes, and I'm not talking 16, even though probably the top guy in this class you'd have to if you want an opportunity on him. But the off-ball linebackers, Jod Campbell, fantastic workout yesterday. I liked what I saw from the kid from Oregon. Is it Jeffrey Bassa?
Yeah, I thought he had a good workout too. I
mean, who would be maybe like a 47 and beyond linebacker for the Cardinals?
I think
because it looks like they're moving, you know, because you're White seems like he's going to exit the organization via free agency. They'll still have Mac Wilson. I don't think there's really any heir apparent, even though people like Owen Papple, but still need some more, you know, seasoning and development there.
Yeah, I think when you look at Shemar James, the linebacker from Florida.
Who they talked to,
Yeah, and I thought that he had a good workout yesterday. The position work was good. The athletic testing showed up as well. He was a guy who was at the Senior Bowl, true junior, athletic. You know, they haven't spent a high pick on a non-priority position player. So I think that might be a position where, you know, and I know Nick Rallis has had a lot of success with some of like the later round type of guys. So I do wonder if that's one where they might kick that road or to kick that can down the road. But Shemar James is a player I think that would fit them schematically. When you look at his athleticism, his ability to play in reverse, I think he's got a lot of the traits and honestly some of the character stuff that they would like.
I talked to him yesterday during his availability. His defensive coordinator at first at Florida was Cardinals defensive backs coach Patrick Toney.
Yes.
So there's some familiarity there, and I do know that they had a formal with him. So that just trying to learn more about him.
That's a name to remember, right? Yeah. That's a good one.
Quickly, before we get you out of here, let's touch on the offensive line class, where we don't feel like the Cardinals are going to be major players unless the right player fell. Who do you think is worthy of a top 15 pick up front? Is it just the 2 tackles and Tyler Booker, or is there another name or two that could emerge?
Yeah, I think that Tyler Booker would be in there for me. I think when you look at Armand Menbu, the tackle from Missouri, I think that he's going to be in my top 10, top 12.
Really?
On my board,
okay.
Yeah. And I would to me, one of my favorite fits is him going to San Francisco.
Okay.
Now, San Francisco historically has said, we can groom offensive linemen. We can draft those guys on day 3. But Trent Williams getting up there, is that a player where they would say, all right, he would be our Trent Williams moving forward? So I would say Menbu is in that area. Simmons with a torn patella, that's going to be the
tough.
question is how did the medicals go with him here this week? But yeah, I would say that's probably it. The other
Calvin
guys
Banks
there,
and Will Campbell, both top 10.
Maybe on Banks. I'm a little lower on Banks.
Okay.
But there are people that are big fans of Banks though.
Yeah.
So that, he would be certainly a name to keep in mind as well.
Well, we appreciate the insight, unparalleled, with our guy Fran Duffy at the 2025 NFL Combine. We're leaving town today, but not Fran. You're in for the long haul, my guy.
I know you guys. You have your bags packed. You're like, oh man, trip's over. I can't wait to go home. I spent 8.5 hours in the bowl yesterday.
Wow.
And I'm like, I finished it, and I was like, all right, I got to do that 3 more times. Don't do it today, and then we got Saturday and Sunday as well. But it's one of my favorite weeks of the year.
Built different, man.
He is
built different.
Become a diehard. $48 right now. You can read all of his phenomenal work. I promise you can't find anything better. It's the perfect pre-draft primer, and it's available right now. Go PHNX.com. ALLCITY NFL Insider. Our guy Fran Duffy. Thanks, Fran.
Appreciate it, man.
Ain't nobody better than Fran Duffy. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. $48. You can read the many workings of Fran in route prep. Become a draft expert ahead of late April. Plus, with the $48, you get a free piece of merch for the year. Of course, access to our PHNX Cardinals member Discord, which has been popping off with all the behind-the-scenes footage and tomfoolery from this week and more. Read more about it. Go PHNX.com. Become a diehard today. We're going to hear from the sights and sounds of Indy, tell you what we're hearing, boots on the ground. That's coming up on PHNX Cardinals.
Let's get back to the Valley of the Sun, and if you're in the market to sell your house, turn to our friends over at Carol Royce Realty, your home sold guaranteed realty. When you're looking to sell your home, then why not get that guarantee with Carol Royce? Give her a call today, 480-776-5231. That's 480-776-5231, or visit Carol Royce's website. That's carolroyceteam.com. Look, if you're looking to sell your house and you want 100% market value of that, Carol Royce is going to do that. And if she can't, she's going to pay you the difference. That's her guaranteed. She's been selling and buying homes for people, for clients for over 3 decades, and has sold and gotten people into 12,000 homes. It's unbelievable. The guarantee to sell your home for 100% or pay the difference. It's unreal. Looking for a cash offer? Don't settle for one. Get up to 6 of the best offers with at least 100% of the market value. And then Carol, of course, if you don't, get that difference back. When it's time to sell your home, make the smart play, the guaranteed one with Carol Royce. Call Carol Royce or visit Carol Royce online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Been a banner show here, send-off show at the NFL Combine. Big thanks to Fran Duffy, Cam Skattebo. And I think, this year, it's funny. We're here and we're supposed to focus on the draft, and we do, and the prospects at hand. But it's a very different year for the Arizona Cardinals. This time last year, it was all about one person and one person only, and that was Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, it dominated the week. Of course, Malik Neighbors, the quarterbacks. This week, it's been very much the opposite end, where the draft prospects are still kind of finding their way. Who's going to be available at 16? Who do the Cardinals like? What's good value? But on the flip side, on the forefront, Bo, it's been about Michael Bidwell, the NFLPA grades, and will the Arizona Cardinals behind Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon make splash moves here in the next 2 weeks? And I think kind of collecting all the data and the information that we have behind the scenes here with the people, the national writers, the people on the ground that know this team just as well as we do, if not better at times, the Arizona Cardinals are poised for a monster offseason. Like, I don't know how many times we have to emphasize that. And again, I've been skeptical, as have you, in weeks prior leading up. But I think, here on February 28th, and I know I see a lot of this as I posted something on Twitter, like, I got to believe it to see it. That's fair. You should have that mindset. But you should also feel good about the trajectory of this team, because it sounds like, Bo, based on everything we've heard, they have a plan in place to get a hell of a lot better here in the next 10 days.
Well, and also the heavy lifting that they've done the first 2 off seasons under the new regime, under Monti, under Jonathan Gannon. I think they've done a great job in rebuilding this thing and putting this roster in place, armed with, this 4th most effective cap space to be aggressive and find out what needs they do need to supplement in free agency. What is it they always want to say? They want to draft, and they want to be a primarily draft and develop team and then supplement through free agency. We've heard that ad nauseum, but this is a good opportunity to do so. And yeah, as you kind of read the tea leaves, you connect the dots, and you can do the stuff as far as former players under JG and Rollis in Philadelphia. Is there going to be one of the, more premier free agents that are available this offseason? Then yeah, like you can look at that and start to connect the dots and then see if the deal can get done. Things are starting to move now. And when we return to the airwaves, barring any breaking news, between now and Monday, we're going to be a week away from the tampering period opening. So it's just going to be about 7 days until then. And it just seems like the Cardinals are poised to make some noise this offseason because of the cap money they have and then the draft capital that they continue to use successfully.
Yeah, it feels like this team, despite Monty's presser, and I think that kind of what got people riled up, right? Is like, he's not saying anything. He's non-committal. I mean, when does he ever? Monty, I love Monty. Has he ever been a great bite yet? I mean, it's just not his MO, and that's okay. Right. He's come from the Patriots.
Yeah, he understands it's a part of the job, but he's not going to do or say anything that's going to compromise what he's trying to do and accomplish, and that's create the most consistent, successful team he can do. And like one last point about this is like the needs they're well aware what the needs are.
Yeah,
it's not like, well, we could just be a kid in the candy store and say, hey, I want some sour balls over here, and I got some the lollipops over here, and let's get to the chocolates and stuff like that. It's defensive front 7, edge rusher, interior defensive line, maybe an off-ball linebacker, and then of course on the offensive line a guard.
Another kind of point of emphasis that was shared with us is that I think you can echo this. The Cardinals are not overvaluing their own players either. I think that's a concern for a lot of fans. Is let's just double down on this. They feel like this is the mindset of the organization. Let's double down on Justin Jones, Blau Nichols, and B.J. Ojulari, who may be on the team, may have impact this year. The Cardinals, our understanding is they want those players around, but they were burned last year with injuries, and that's not a knock on those players, but the Cardinals know that they need ready-made products to be able to fight for a playoff spot next year, to be able to compete for the NFC West. I think the time of hoping and wishing last year that you could hit on some guys that were under the radar. I mean, we had somebody tell us, off the record here, or not off the record, but we had somebody tell us
I was like,
that
we're
not going to share, say that B.J. Ojulari was poised to have 10 sacks last year. And that's great. And a lot of people have echoed that. However, because B.J. has been injured 2 straight years, you can't go into this offseason like, remember, training camp, B.J. Ojulari, he was going to have 10 sacks. Problem solved, right? If B.J. Ojulari gives you anything, awesome.
Yeah.
You want those guys to be in your pipeline. Turn B.J. Ojulari into the next Josh Sweat over time. But in the meantime, how are you going to compete with everything we've heard? Matthew Stafford now back as an LA Ram. They're loading up, right? Seattle Seahawks, they're loading up. And San Francisco was embarrassed, right, last year. They're going to come back 10 times stronger. You can't sit here and say, well, this draft pick and this undrafted free agent, the maturation process. Sure, there's a lot of guys in the second year they're going to pop this year.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some huge holes on this roster. The Cardinals know what those holes are. And by all accounts, they plan on attacking those needs, not only in the draft in a couple of months, but especially come free agency.
Yeah, I heard some information earlier today, too, that put me firmly in the Josh Sweat camp.
What was that?
His nickname.
Okay. You want to share it with our audience?
Yeah, I know you can look at him and say, hey, is there a ceiling on this production? Is he considered next to the top pass rushers in this league mid? I think you can make that case. Was he a guy that flashed at the right time in the Super Bowl? But when you got the nickname Sweaty J.
Sweaty J.
Sweaty J and the boys. That's what I want. That's what I want the defensive
Not Dirty
front.
Mike and the boys, but Sweaty J and the boys.
Then that's a pretty nasty collection of front seven players led by Sweaty J.
Sweaty J and the boys. I mean, we've had Benjamin Albright on our show say that the Cardinals are going to target Milton and Sweat, and he deems Sweat the favorite. You and I both are high on Milton Williams.
Yeah.
And we feel like Milton Williams is a name to keep an eye on for the Arizona Cardinals. And again, people are like, no duh, Johnny. We're getting down here to the pipeline where a lot of these deals, friends, I mean, you got Diana Rossini basically saying, like, the Giants are turning their attention to Aaron Rodgers, and that's become public. Like, deals are getting done right now. Yeah. Teams are talking to players right now. And the tampering period is just the new announcement of the signings. So the more smoke you hear around certain players, I think the better you should feel about it, assuming those players are good and are tied to the Arizona Cardinals. We sign off from Indy right around the corner here on PHNX Cardinals. But first, I want to remind everybody right now, hey, Suns tickets, it might be a fire sale here pretty soon, and you could use Game Time for PHNX, $20 off your tickets now.
2 and 8?
10 of the last 12, is that good? Losing?
10 and 12.
10 of the last 12. Go to the footprint with Game Time, and I mean, that's lower bowl probably for pennies on the dollar for a team right now that can't finish, but you can finish your transaction saving money with our friends at Game Time. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. It is a priority right now. Download the Game Time app today. Their panoramic view is fantastic, by the way. View your seat in the app before you buy it. I've never gotten cheaper tickets and had a better idea where I was sitting than when I use our friends at Game Time. Again, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time, or your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. I've had a ton of services in the past, ticketing services, where I would buy tickets. I'm like, where are they? Am I even going to the game? Was this a scam, right? That's not Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the bonus code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Create an account and redeem that code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute ticket, lowest price guaranteed.
Suns tickets cheap right now. Pretty sure ASU hoops tickets, their Game Time's paying you.
Oh my
to go
goodness.
to the game.
Do you think we can get maybe Ryan Dunn a ticket and they can get him in the game?
Valley
if we buy him one?
Yikes.
Valley Fever, catch it on the hardwood. We love it. Here's what we do love. We love everybody who's turned in this week. We love our producers, Shane Diefenbach, and of course, sweet baby Damon Dawg, for all the hard work they've put in. Emma behind the scenes back, Leah behind the scenes back at PHNX Sports, our guy Espo, our GM. We've had so many people helping us churn out this content this week. We
Some interns out there.
Absolutely.
Ayrton, Rome, the squad back there. Yeah.
The squad's been phenomenal, and it's only just beginning. But, again, want to make sure we thank everybody because it's been a fun week, and the fun's hopefully going to continue, Bo.
Yeah, it's just getting started. This is kind of kicking off the off season. We're like 5 shows away from getting out of the dead period of this. But, we're going to have, as we're seeing these tweeting out today, and the Schefter and Rappaport are giving you the Rams info, and it seems like if the Giants don't get Aaron Rodgers, maybe they do, they still make a jump up the draft board, and they give this draft maybe a little juice. But, we're bringing all that we can as far as electricity to the Cardinals in that 16th pick, this draft class, and then before that, the precursor, the free agent class. We're all going to go get there together, learn about, what this roster is going to look like going into the 2025 season, a pivotal season for this organization.
In the meantime, like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Monday show can't come soon enough. Special guest on Monday. Can't tell you who it is, but you're not going to want to miss it on PHNX.
Scat was big and Scat was huge.
A huge guest.
This is big.
On Monday. Big thanks again to everybody as we sign off from Indianapolis. For Shane, Damon, Bo, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.